What is up everyone, it's RJ again, bringing you guys another travel vlog video. In the last video we covered our first, it's like a 1.5 days, so we covered our first day in Japan, which pretty much we got there at nighttime and we pretty much only had time to get dinner. The second day, which was our first full day, we did a whole bunch of things. So today I'm going to show you guys what we did on day number 2. And today it was a pretty relaxed day in terms of traveling. We went ahead and traveled to Shinjuku. So we went from Kamada to Shinjuku train station, which costed us 200 yen per person, which is equivalent to $1.86 US dollars. We went to Shinjuku and we were walking because we were trying to plan out what we were going to do. We knew we wanted to hit the Samurai Museum as our first stop, and so I'll be the one to tell you guys right from the get-go that I'm not very big into museums. I don't know what it was, or I wasn't into museums. Something about it has changed. Maybe it's because I'm getting older and I'm having a deeper appreciation for things, but I never was a fan of just going into museums and artsy festivals, and you know, my mom loves going to historic museums and stuff like that, and to me, when I was much younger, I didn't really like things like that. You know, we go and we're like, oh wow, this is the oldest telephone. This is what we used and this is what we wore back in the 1900s. For some reason I feel like that's all changed, because when we went into the Samurai Museum, I definitely loved the place. And before that, we were in Amsterdam. And in Amsterdam, we did a tour, and tours, same thing, right? Same thing. Museum tours, they're walking around telling you about the history of things. But the tour in Amsterdam, I loved. I had a great appreciation for. It also helps that if you have an awesome tour guide. Her name was Bear. So if you're ever in Amsterdam, check out a tour guide named Bear. She was super awesome, very lively, very engaging. Love the energy. So I gravitate towards really, really powerful and awesome personalities and energy, so I loved it. Back to the whole museum thing. Amsterdam, loved the tour. I was like, wow, who am I? Japan, went to the Samurai Museum, and I was a little hesitant. I was like, oh, here it comes, museums. But throughout the whole thing, I was actually very engaged and very in tune with everything our tour guide was saying. He was going through the armor of things. So unfortunately, in this museum, we could not take any videos. He allowed us to take photos, but we weren't allowed any flash photography. So the actual museum itself costed us about, between 4 of us, so my mom, my dad, my brother, costed us around $75. So it was about 7,800 yen. Well worth the money. Loved it. So you walk in and you get your own personal tour guide. So there was my family, my mom's friends, my mom's high school friends, and I believe maybe 5 others. So it was a pretty small group. And so there were multiple groups going around. So we were group number 1, then a group trailed us. And so the first section, he would go through just the introductory armor that the samurais wore. And then we went through the history, and he showed us a map that was really cool and spoke about the history between one of the biggest battles and wars that the samurai went in through. And then we made our way, and each room had its own little thing. There was a room with like the swords and the weaponry and the different weapons the samurai used. So you had your standard katana, and then you had like a much longer sword, and you were like, wow, that's a pretty sick looking sword. And then you find out what it was for, and it was for chopping horse's legs. So wasn't very cool, but the sword still looked cool. And then you had some pokey looking staves, which were for if you were on a horse, you needed much more range to poke things because your standard sword wouldn't reach. So that was cool. Then we got into, we kept rolling around from room to room talking about the different armors and different warriors, and you looked into it, and you know, depending on what you know about the samurai, I seem to be uncultured AF, but the samurai were one of the most elite class warriors. Okay, you couldn't just just because you were Japanese doesn't mean you were a samurai. So you had to be promoted to be a samurai, and that just depended how much kills you had on the battlefield, how well you proved yourself, tactical prowess. There was a whole bunch of things that elevated you to samurai status. You would find out what the little emblems on their heads mean, why things were so crazy, different colors. You know, the emblems signified the family crest. Their horns and their helmets went super sky high because the samurai Japanese were short people, so, you know, intimidation factor, they made them look taller. Those helmets were pretty heavy. They were like 8 pounds. The normal foot soldier armor, when you saw a comparison side by side, you were just like, oh, poor foot soldiers, they're just wearing this little tin can helmet. But then you looked at the samurai next to them and you're like, that's pretty sick. That was the Samurai Museum. It was very cool. It took us, it was about an hour. I would say it was about 45 minutes to an hour tour. So definitely worth it. And then once we got out of there, we were feeling a little bit hungry, so we finished maybe around 11:30, and so it was about lunchtime. So the day before, if you guys checked out the last video, we ate the Wagyu beef, and so day number 2, we wanted to try the sushi. And it was a little crummy day. We're wearing our rain jackets because it was just raining on and off, on and off. You couldn't tell when it was gonna rain, when it wasn't. So I was actually vlogging and getting some of the footage on my GoPro and not my Canon SL2 because my GoPro is water resistant. It was a crummy day, but we got some sushi. And the sushi, you guys need to realize, right? So in America, in the US, we think of sushi as the maki rolls. Alright, so we're thinking about like shrimp tempura and crazy things in there, cream cheese, cucumbers, avocado, very much a lot of avocado. But in Japan, just think of their sushi as what we think of in the US as nigiri. So you got your rice, and you got your raw fish or raw shrimp or whatever protein on top. And so we went to this place recommended by our tour guide, and it was roughly about $50 per person if I'm not mistaken. Let me confirm. I actually just got a text message from my mom. Thanks, Mom. So she gave me the proper name of the sushi place, and I didn't have it, but it is called Kizuna Sushi, and that is located in Shinjuku City, Tokyo. She did help me with the prices. I thought it was just one flat rate price, but it's not. It was $45 for the guys and $35 for the ladies. So that's the price on that sushi. And so the sushi was obviously delicious. They were definitely ultra fresh because the sushi, you can tell with that grade of ingredients, that grade of fish, you can tell. I can tell. We tried all sorts of things. I tried the eel, I tried the salmon, I tried the tuna, we tried the snow crab, we tried clam, mackerel, and it was delicious. So that sushi joint was unlimited. So what ended up happening, how that sushi place worked, is you get an iPad, so props to technology, and what you're allowed to do is you're allowed to order up to 30 rolls, but no more than 5 variants per order. Okay, so what that means is I can order 5 different types. So it could be salmon, tuna, snow crab, imitation crab, and mackerel is one order, and I can do 5, 5, 5, 5, and 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So that's only 25 pieces. So I could do 10 pieces of tuna, and that'll give you your 30. So 5 different variants, 30 pieces altogether per order. And so you know what's hilarious is when we first asked, we're like, per person, 5 and 30 per person, and they're like, no, and we're like, oh, that's kind of whack. But what ended up happening was we ordered like 2, we placed in an order, and then we placed in another order, and we found ourselves actually drowning in sushi. So that was actually much better that we weren't allowed to do something like that for us tourists that think that that's a good idea. These Americans, they think that they can eat so much. We probably survived. Oh yeah, I remember us hurting. We were hurting pretty hard. My mom's high school friend was, I don't recommend this, okay? But she was very, very sneaky. We didn't even notice until my mom said something. But I was starting to hurt. I was like, oh man, so much sushi. But she's like, I feel very light. And I was like, how the heck are you feeling light? And what she ended up doing was she took the nigiri and she would shove the rice into some napkin and hide it, right? She was so sneaky, no one can tell. And I was like, oh my god, you sneaky mother. I was like, I want to see this. So we ordered some sushi and she would be like, oh look, yeah, and like she would like kind of like put the rice in this little napkin that she was saving up and putting it in her purse. And she was just, yeah, she was chowing down, and all of us that were eating it the proper way, the regular way, we were feeling pretty heavy because that rice, that can start to weigh you down. But it was pretty funny. And after that, we wanted to go, my parents and my mom's high school friends who joined us, they wanted to go to what's called Ueno. And Ueno, I guess, had a bunch of shopping areas for them to come to check out. My mom loves going to Japan and buying duffels and duffels of snacks to take back. So this was one of the places that she went to. And so we took a train ride from Shinjuku to Ueno, and I believe that was another 200 yen. And so that was about another $1.80. We'll just keep rounding it to $2. So it was about $2. And so we got to Ueno. It was raining by then. You know, like I said, we had our rain jackets, so it was on and off. My brother and I kind of ventured into an electronics store. You know, being Japan, I was like, let's see if we could find something sick from either Canon. So the camera I have is Canon, my brother has a Sony. And we were wanting to see if we could find any deals on lenses or the cameras themselves. Couldn't find anything. The cameras, just to let you guys know, and the lenses are just as expensive, if not more expensive over there than in the US. So keep that in mind. And I did a lot of research that you should not ask for any deals or ask for any discounts because they find that offensive. And so, you know, it's a good thing I did that research early on, because I probably would have went over there and started haggling like a scrub and been like, what's the best price you can give for this? No luck finding anything, any cameras or lenses over there, because they're just as expensive. So I'd rather just come back home and order on Amazon Prime and get my Prime points or something like that. After that, we were feeling pretty tired, and you know, after Ueno, we all pretty much just went home and just relaxed, actually, because it was rainy and it wasn't too much fun. So we were feeling a little sluggish and a little bit down from the weather. And so we also know that we were saving ourselves for the following day, and that'll be in the next episode. The following day we had an early start. We had to get up and get out of the house by at least maybe 6 to catch the train to our destination, which would be the Mari Kart go-kart racing in the streets of Japan. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands it's Mari Kart, not Mario Kart, and that way, you know, they're not affiliated with Nintendo. That is in the next episode. That one is going to be hilarious because yes, we were go-karting around the streets of Japan for about 2 hours, and it was one of the funnest things ever. It's hilarious because my mom and dad were leading the pack right behind our go-kart leader, and then followed by me, followed by my brother, and we were going fast AF. We were going like, I believe my mom and my dad said they clocked us at 80 to 85 kilometers, and that's fast because my speedometer thing was broken, unfortunately, so I couldn't tell how fast I was going. But that's about 50 to 55 miles per hour in the streets of Japan with trucks and live cars next to you. So it was very fast. So that's going to be in the next episode. My brother and I also went to Anime City and checked out a whole bunch of crazy things. So that'll be all for the next episode. So if you guys haven't already, please smash that like and subscribe button so you guys get the latest, and you guys will get notified when the next video comes, and you guys get to see us doing the Mario go-kart racing. If you guys have any questions, just post them in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time.